Welcome to the Manna at the Top podcast, where we as a community seek the spiritual nourishment our souls crave. I'm Gloria, your fellow traveler on this spiritual journey. My role here is to guide us, offering insights and interpretations from our daily lectionary readings that provide the manna designed to nurture our spiritual growth. Today, on this 6 week after Pentecost, Canada Day, Monday, July the 1st, 2024, we embark on a captivating journey back into the lectionary text of 1 Samuel, chapter 23, verses 14 to 18. It isn't easy to know how to respond to the lectionary text today because it is so like our world. The political leaders all seem out of control, and as they lead, they are following their agenda, refusing to make God a part of their leadership team. Saul, who had been crowned Israel's first king, was an angry, disobedient person who did not want to have a relationship with a skilled leader like Samuel or God. The narratives we are exploring will show us why God had to find someone with a heart to listen to him. And that person was David, who communicated with God and sought the input and the cooperation from his 600 army men. So, as we follow along, we'll see the contrast between Saul and David. Saul is now going berserk and cannot be trusted in his decision making. And when David absented himself from a royal dinner, it took Saul a couple of days before he went wild and raged at his son Jonathan. He spoke harshly to him and he spoke unkind words about Jonathan's mother. One can only imagine how Jonathan felt about his father Saul, who was alienated from the people. He had no religious support and no charisma. Saul had nothing but raw power, and God's Spirit had already left him to his own device. Eventually, Saul's actions would cause his death and the death of his sons. But in the meantime, David waits, and Israel waits with David as the whole nation waits for Saul to die. Amid David's fleeing from Saul, he heard that Keilah, a village near the Philistine border, was being attacked, and the Philistines were looting their threshing floors. The people needed help, but before David took any action, he inquired of the Lord, asking if he should go and attack the Philistines. The answer he received was to attack the Philistines and save the people of Keilah. But David's army men were afraid because they thought that Saul might catch them while they would be helping the people in the village. David then asked the Lord a second time for their benefit and received a positive answer. Go down to Keilah. I'm going to give them into your hand. These words of assurance from the Lord affirm that David would triumph over the Philistines and save the people of Keilah. News can travel quickly, and Saul heard that David had gone to Keilah. He falsely concluded that God had delivered David into his hands, so he called his forces down to Keilah in order to besiege David and his men. Instead of reacting to hearing the news that Saul would be coming to Keilah, David turned to prayer. He began a conversation with the Lord, the God of Israel. In the conversation, the Lord told him that the people of Keilah, whom he had just rescued from the Philistines, would turn him over to Saul. David and his army then left Keilah and kept moving from place to place. David had escaped Saul one more time. Now, as we continue the lectionary text at hand, 1 Samuel 23, verses 14 to 18, David did not escape encountering Saul because he was faster or cleverer than Saul. The escape was possible because of David's relationship with God, because his every move was preceded by prayer. God did not give David into Saul's hands, even as Saul searched for David daily. And the narrator wants us to be clear that the Lord is protecting David because the Lord has chosen him to lead the nation, and the Lord has rejected Saul. And so, no matter what, this cat and mouse game that is being played out, neither Saul nor David could change the outcome. The Lord was on David's side. And now, in the middle of this narrative, while David is still hiding out in the desert from Saul, Jonathan, Saul's son, enters the picture again. This is his final appearance in David's life. Jonathan loved David deeply and was committed to him. He went to the desert and found David to help him find strength in God. And I'm about to cry as I listen to Jonathan's farewell conversation with David. Jonathan reminded David of the covenant between them, that when David came to the throne, that he wouldn't destroy Jonathan's descendants, but he would show them loving kindness and mercy, steadfast love. He began with words of assurance. Do not be afraid, David. You will be king over Israel, and I have renounced any claim to power, and I wholly support you, and I'm willing to be your second in command. My tears are close to the surface. Jonathan's voice rings out loud and clear that what is happening in the present moment will soon be nullified in the future. Saul will not get to lay a hand on David, and Jonathan states that his father knows it as well, but he is unwilling to admit it to himself or to concede defeat publicly. David and Jonathan made a covenant before the Lord, and then Jonathan went home, but David remained in the desert. I hope you can engage in that sacred and intimate moment between Jonathan and David. I'm just trying to stop my tears from flowing.